Hey everyone, and welcome to a Sunday live session. It will be a bit different today. I'm not really talking about anything specific this time. I will rather show you or just like let you guys be part of my scene setup when I start for setting up tutorials. Um, I'll just wait a bit longer and then we'll go fully into what I did here. So let's just see. I think it's up and running now. Yeah, it is. And we already have a few guys there, which is nice. Let me just pop out the chat quickly. Pop out. Move this guy over. So I'm not sure if you guys could hear the introduction, but it's I will be just focusing on, or actually, I'll just doing a scene setup, and so you guys see kind of how I work and how I set everything up. I'll just need to quickly dock this somehow. Like this. Maybe I can actually move it over. Let's just see. I just need to set up my live window quickly. Just a moment. Yeah. Okay, so now we should have two. And if I move this away, there we go. So, okay. I guess I think that you should be able to see the chat now. It's on a separate window for me, but I think you should be fine. And I'm a bit under the weather, so excuse if I have a blocked nose or anything. Okay. Sorry, it still takes a while to set everything up. Okay, as you can see, I guess I'll just start now. Is this guy running? Don't see a broadcast. Okay, anyways, so that's there. So where you guys from? Brazil is there. Nice. Okay, that's that. Minimize. I just don't want to block the whole chat with the whole window with the chat window, so I just need to scale it properly. Sweden, lots of Sweden. Belgium, Munich, Sweden, Germany. Nice. Wow, Oklahoma City. Man, I think this is a lot of viewers tonight. Like it's already 51 and I just started, so that's pretty impressive, honestly. Okay. So as you might have seen in the thumbnail of the live stream, I want to recreate a little forest scene. I did a previous render as well. I think that I shared it on Twitter. Let's just see if I can bring it up. 5. Oh, was it this one? Oh man, there's so many project folders here. Sorry for that. So my images. I guess not. Anyways, what I will be doing or setting up for the tutorial, which I guess will be released on Friday, will be a close-up macro shot from a mushroom scene. So there we go. Finally, I got it over to the main screen. Okay, so as you can see, this is I thought it's a pretty cool looking shot. It's actually a photograph from a fellow Instagrammer, friend of mine on my Instagram channel, and I really like this because you can see, I don't know, it just looks so cool. You get the defocus everywhere in the background, and then also in the foreground is already very defocused. And then as the main subject is the mushrooms, and you get all these nice glints of speck and some, I don't know, some liquid water on the stems of the mushrooms, which I really liked, and I thought this would be a good thing to recreate. And the setup for this session will be to position the camera, to place all the objects, and but I won't be doing the lighting tutorial per se. I will just do the general light direction, and I will do some basic shading assignments, and then I will create a tutorial like after this live session. Then I will do the proper recording of the tutorial, and where we'll do the beauty lighting, the proper gobo placements, all the fancy stuff will be in the tutorial. So I don't want to show you this now. It's just for you if you're interested to see how I set up things. So okay. So what do you think of that? Is that a good thing to do? Should I do more often like these kind of scene setup live sessions? What do you think? Yeah, is the chat still there? I guess so. Okay. What tutorial will be? Will this tutorial be a like scene setups? Oh yes, okay. If you can do more, do more. Well, I'm not a robot, so I still have my own personal life as well. Still, we'll see it when that changes. Anyways, so as you can see, I downloaded already a few mega scans, which I will show you how I brought them in the scene, and I tested around with some really rudimental gobos. It's actually just scaled down plants, but it does the job. And I did not really have a nice setup in my outliners, so excuse me for that. It's all a bit simple currently. And I have that disabled. So I will be going fast, and I will try to answer a few questions, but it will be mostly just how I work, and you can just be part of my way of working, I guess. Okay. It's not a render though. Okay. So first, I guess a few guys know it already, but there is this nice, awesome library from Quixel where you can get lots of awesome scans, like proper 3D scans, and then the connecting textures to that as well. So I was downloading a few. You can see this is the mushrooms I have here. I've downloaded them already. Will this go away as well? So I've got these mushrooms. I've got actually a few assets already. I think I have also this mossy rock. So these mushrooms are pretty cool as well. Maybe I'll just use them as well. I don't know. Yeah, anyways, I downloaded them. It's XR, raw files or WinZip files or something, and I just wait, where did I got them from? In here, resources. No, actually, it's sorry. I just want to show you how I've set it up here on my machine. So in here's all my downloaded assets. I won't be using all of them, but then I just go in here and see. Okay, these are the rocks. Actually, maybe I can actually use them. So let's just drop in the high. Mostly actually LOD1 is fine, but I'll just drop the high LOD in now. So that's being added. Takes a while because it's pretty high res. It's always good to actually have smaller LODs so you don't have as many polygons in your scene. Let's just okay. So yeah, and then you got the rocks in here. And because they are so high res or like very high detail, I tend to disable viewport selection just because I can actually see where I'm placing things. And you can see now this would be the rock, not the not the not the artist, just a simple rock here. And I guess I've got two monitors set up now, so I'll have actually the reference on the left, so I can actually see what I'm doing. So what I want to do, I want to place, and this is actually also the camera I have, so I've got this also tiered off on a separate window, and this is currently my camera setup. And I want to create these rocks in the front here, or this big rock, so something in the front. So I have my camera view window there. And I'm just, well, it's a huge rock, and I'll just scale it down. Sometimes the pickers are not really working, I'm not sure why. You see, I'm really breaking now the scale of it, but I guess it doesn't really matter that much, because it will be out of focus anyways. If you have like a big grass scene or something like that, you could use some scatter, like XGen, to scatter your geometry or mesh or something. But as this is a pretty small scene, I'll just do it manually. So this is now the rock. You can see it doesn't really hold up that good in close-ups. So we just need to see how we can place it. And I'm looking now in the camera window just to see how the placement. Sorry about that. And let's bring this guy a bit more in view. I guess that is pretty cool. And especially if you have like sun hitting it, you get these nice glints. So that's something. And you can already see I've placed the mushrooms here. Let's just quickly change. I don't like when it's like this gray for the camera window. So what I tend to do is do this. Whoa. Just so it's more visible. Minor things, I guess. But anyway, so let's just put it up here. Okay, let's show. Okay, that's a bit small actually. Okay, so based on the reference, I've got kind of the rock here, and I want to actually place a mushroom on the rock itself. So I've got this one in the back. Come on. This guy here. And I just want to place him on it. Huge mushroom now, but I'll scale it down. And this will be totally out of focus, which is cool. So, I don't know, maybe somewhere around here. So if you have any questions, like I'm monitoring the chat, so let me just know if there's anything weird. I don't have a super power machine. Nope. I can show you quickly what I have. It's the most basic machine. So I got 8 threads. So it's nothing fancy, honestly. Okay. So, and I wanted, like, I like this mushroom because it's like a different type. So I will just be duplicating this guy. And I might be just scaling it down. Now this is all high geometry, no viewport displacement. But actually I will enable it for some elements. If I need to place things better, I will enable viewport displacements. It does work pretty good, honestly. There's no reason why not to use it. I don't know if this will be too close. It might look weird if there's like this mushroom here. You see, so this is a very like artistic process. You just need to place things and hope it looks good. Okay, so now it's a tiny mushroom over there. I'm not happy with this guy. Did you do the UVs already done? It's all done from Megascans, which is very great because I hate doing UVs and I can't wait if something comes by which eliminates the use or the need to have UVs. It's very tedious and annoying. Okay, so that's the setup, and I also have like this little these little, oh man, how's it called? Clover leaves or something. These guys. I'm not sure. I think it's called clover or something like that. So I want to use them as well. So LOD 0 is I think the highest. I can tell you that they are working on a toon shader, so there might be coming one pretty soon. So I'm just dragging the FBXs in the scene. I actually need to hit save sometimes. And the more like high poly geo you have in your scene, the longer it takes to save, which is a bit of a pain. So that's also a good reason to use low LODs. See how long it takes already. Okay, variation. Huh, where are they? This didn't work out as expected. I guess they are not there. Let's try LOD. Let's try different variation. Huh, not sure why the FBX don't want to load. Let's try this guy. Okay, whatever this is works. I think this is just big leaves. Interesting. I used those before, clover leaves. Is that one as well? No, it's grass. Okay, there we go. So here's something. And unfortunately, they are already scattered. So you either need to just use a face selection to place them, or if you're lucky, you can just use them as they are. So I'll be trying to just use them as they are, and we see how it fits into the setup. It's not so easy. Okay, there we go. So have you guys seen the new Star Wars trailer? What do you think of the new Star Wars movie? Or the trailer per se? Okay, let's make this a bit bigger. Not sure why the selection doesn't work always as good. Not a Star Wars fan, love it. The Star Wars trailer was awesome. Oh yeah, I was actually just yesterday. I was in the cinema to watch Blade Runner, and I must say that's a pretty refreshing style of movie. It's very slow paced, and I really like the visuals on that one. So big fan of the new Blade Runner, honestly. Okay, so this is now the setup. I also have some ferns in the back, which is just I'll need to assign the shaders now, so it's pretty simple. But for now, let's just well, I'll save again, and then I'll just kick off a render, and we can actually see how all the lights look and everything. Yeah, I had a hard time to actually see or distinguish which characters were CG and which were not. Like it was so well done, and I really had a hard time to figure that out. So I'm pretty stoked to see the making of, just to see how much CG is actually in this movie. So render is done. Let's just assign the basic AL. I've got one shader set up, which is just gray. And then we can see how it looks. So almost 70 viewers, which is I think a record, which is nice. Welcome everyone. And again, just if you just open the stream or something, I will be just showing a scene setup, how I am preparing for my tutorials. So it won't be really a how-to or anything. It's more like you can watch how I do my setup. So when I'm not working, when I'm doing personal projects, I mean. Okay, so this is what we got. Close-up mushroom here, big rock there. This will be fern, so this will be nice. And I just placed a simple directional light just to kind of see the light direction. As you see, this is my reference. So it's pretty top lit, and you can see that most of them are in shade, but you get the nice rims on the stems of them. So I definitely want to get that happening. So let's just make this on top. There we go. And let's just try to rotate the light a bit. Just that we get something on the stems as well. Actually, I don't get on the stems. Possibly they are blocked from something. No, they're not. Okay, so this needs now some fine tuning. So I'm just checking out the basic now. You can see there's something which is awesome. And let's see if we can rotate it. There we go. So this is the effect I want to get. You see the nice rim light on the stems of the mushrooms, which is the same as here. And I definitely want to get that because it will look pretty sweet when you have like depth of field enabled. So, and then, or I might just fake it with a beauty light. We'll see how I do that in the end. Maybe we need to just lower it a bit more. Yeah, that's better. I'm not concentrating just on the stem, so you can see the nice rim light there. Just a second. Okay, so let's try a bit more. I really want to learn the program, but I can't access to it. Isn't there? I think they have like a educational license, Katana. Well, I actually don't know, but I thought they would have, or they should have something like that. So I'm still tweaking the overall light direction a bit. Like I like the fact that they are shadowing each other, and I like the effect that there is light on the stems. So I'll be trying to recreate that. My girlfriend is actually in Cologne, Germany, so I just she's going to bed now, so I'll just text her quickly. As you can see, this session will be very calm. So if you got better things to do, I guess you can actually. It's better if you just skip through it. If you, or unless you want to keep watching me doing it, I don't mind. Okay. Oh, and by the way, I've got the Slack group, and the Slack group I created is not that like some people on there already, they just like direct questions at me, and it's more like a group where we can share knowledge, or that's the idea of that. So if you want to join that, it's on my website, lightshaders.de. And if you scroll to the bottom, you can get the invite link, and you should be able to join the Slack group as well. And if you have any questions or extent problems or RenderMan problems, whatever, you can just ask your questions over there. And there are already, I think, 200 something members in it. So there's some good knowledge already, which will be shared, which is awesome. Okay, so I want to get the rim on the right as well, but for now, I just keep it as it is now. I might just bring it around a bit more so we have a stronger rim. And I'm doing this now because I want to place the gobo lights, I guess, the shadowing. You can see that the mushrooms in the front here are all in shadow. They just catch the nice rim. So I want to do that as well. And all the rest is actually pretty rimlit, which is nice. And then, yeah, all this stuff is in bright sunlight, and the rest is in shadow. And I want to definitely recreate that. I'm just rotating the clover fields a bit. Yeah, the SSS will be definitely a challenge for shading, and I'm not sure if the model will hold up as good because these mushrooms, they are intended for scattering purposes and not as close-up renders, so I won't be getting these nice shapes in here, I guess. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes, and I guess I can get pretty close to the light, but I'm not sure from the look itself if I can match that. It will be tough. Do you guys think I should place a mushroom on the top right, which covers like the front, or is it nicer that we see some? Or maybe I just move the camera a bit. So let's see. I'm still not 100% happy with the layout, hence why I keep changing things around. Maybe I need to go closer. This might look actually cool. I like the rock on the left, so mushroom there, maybe rotate a bit. This might just work better. I think Rise is a bit boring. Yeah, that's what I thought. So what I'm trying to do now is move the camera down so the right mushroom there goes a bit higher. Maybe something like this is pretty cool. There's just so much crap in the foreground, but I guess it will be blurred out using depth of field. So what do you guys think of this now? The mushroom is on the right, so let's just move it over. I guess this could work better. So if I just tilt the mushroom here. Sometimes these manipulators, I cannot select them, which is annoying. A rule of thirds helper, you mean like a photo app, right? I don't know, you've got these grids here, but I don't think it's... Well, you can kind of use this. What else do we have? No, that's not that. No, not per se rule of thirds, I guess. That's title save, action save. Nope, I don't think so. Or not in my quick check now. Okay, I think I like this setup now. It's maybe a bit too sunny, but I will cover this up with some leaves or something. Yeah, that's all mega scans here. Alrighty. Yeah, maybe you can put the mushroom on the right, more in front of the camera. Yeah, but too much foreground is also distracting. Like as you can see in the reference image, I like that there is something in the foreground, like the rocks here, but they are out of focus. So this is something I like, and I will get the same effect. Waiting for the brush for Illustrator. Just move to Arnold 5 and create the new shaders, because you can get the same shaders, not the AL shaders, but the AI standard shaders, pretty much the AL shaders. So it should be fairly straightforward to convert them. So I will enable depth of field now just to help me place things better. So I'm in Arnold tab, enable depth of field. And what I always do, I have a locator where I want to have my focus point. And I think the main mushroom there should be the one in focus. Or that's, as you can see here, the group of 3 is in focus. And in my case, I guess, I'm not sure which one should be the one in focus. Well, I guess it's good that it's this edge of this guy. Okay, so this is where my focus point is, and then in my second camera window I can see the distance. So I have in display, you can enable heads up display, and then you can enable object details, and in there you get the distance from camera. So you can see it's 15.017. So this is the distance the locator is from the render camera, and I'm using this distance now as my value for the camera. So it is 15.017. So in here, I'll change this guy focus distance to 15.017. And now this is my in focus point. As you can see, it's nice and crisp. And all the rest gets very, very blurry. Even the mushroom, I might have a too big aperture size, which is for sure too big. So let's just bring this one maybe to 0.2. This is very scene dependent for sure. What was the main difference between V-Ray and Arnold? Well, I moved quite a while already from V-Ray, so I'm pretty sure V-Ray is pretty up to standard with all the things which is now in the latest renders. So I'm not sure if there's like a big difference anymore. Yeah, the reference image is square. It's from Instagram, as you see, it's square. So I'll just bring it back in. So I kind of like, it's a bit too crowded here in the front, so I might be moving this a bit. Yeah, you can click to focus. It's nothing too fancy, man. It's all pretty good. Okay, so let's just move the camera a bit more. So this is currently my framing. Okay, so this is still, I guess I need to move the camera a bit closer just to get rid of all the right-hand blurriness. Or maybe if I put this in shadow, it might work. Okay, so sorry for the rambling. I will be placing now some shadow blockers, or it's called in the industry, it's called gobo. Goes before objective or something. That's the abbreviation for that. Or something. I might be lying now. I'm not so sure. Okay, so I just used plants as my gobo leaves, which should be mimic something like a tree on top or something. So let's just work with one for now. This guy. And the cool thing, Arnold is very stable. As you can see, like I'm rendering with depth of field and everything. Well, it got better. It was crashing a lot, but now they really stabilized it, which is very awesome now to work with. So what you can do, you can try to eyeball the placement, but what you can also do is you can actually look through the light. Just middle mouse drag it in the viewport, and I'm looking through the light, and now I'm zooming out. So I'm just not sure where what is currently. Camera's there. There's my mushrooms. So I am pretty much rotated heavily. So let's see if I can just rotate the light. Is it this axis? No. No. Sorry, I just need to rotate it. Otherwise, I will be floating somewhere. Perspective. Object. I hope that's the right one. Nope. One more try to get this working. Okay, so now I need to rotate it by 180 and then we should be fine. Like this. Okay, we're almost good. So now you can see here's my mushrooms. This is the main mushroom here. So let's just enable highlighting. So that's the main mushroom. My camera is there. And now I can just actually, because I'm in the light, I can just move this, my gobo, foliage, whatever, and it's way easier to place things. I just need to orient it, like position it better. Okay, maybe scale it down quite a bit. Oh man. All right, so now you can see how I can place it, and you can see the updated render on the right. So let me just see what's happening in the chat. Will it be uploaded? The live stream will be uploaded automatically, but there will be a big tutorial on Friday, like a proper tutorial. Exists a way to have a realistic lighting for an environment with trees? Not sure what that question is really. One of the things I like most in all. Yeah, solid angle is pretty. They're trying to really make it exactly the same in all packages, even with all the noises and procedurals they're providing. They try to make Arnold render in all the packages the same. So you can render in Max, you can export the asphalt to Maya or to Katana, and it will always render the same. 81 watchers. Yeah, 83 actually, nice. The proper method of linear workflow. The easiest rule is to work in linear with everything, and then you should be fine, and there should be no confusion at all. But that's, I guess, not as easy. Okay, I'm just moving it higher up so we get more softer shadows on this guy. And I will disable the depth of field now just for me to make it more easy to see what's happening. Okay, and I will just focus on the right. And we need to increase the softness somewhere. Where was that? On the light. There is this, is it angle, I guess? Yeah, that's angle. You can see now we got softer shadows, which is pretty awesome, and that's something I like to do because it's also in here you can see soft and hard shadows. So if you've got branches right up high, they should provide a very soft shadow on the ground. And now this becomes a really like moving vertices to just get it in shadow as I need it to be. So this mushroom here is, I think, this guy. You can actually select objects in view. And then, yeah, so that's the mushroom. So I kind of want that guy to be in the sun. And so I will be making sure it is. Kind of like that. So I will be saving now because I will be moving now the vertices of the leaves here. Saving takes a while, so I need to be I can't really save every time. So, but so far it has been very stable. Okay, let's start the render again. Da-da-da. Is it running? Wrong camera. There we go. Okay, so I'm really confused to which. Yeah, I won't be talking about how to set up shaders now. I've got a few tutorials already online which shows exactly how to set it up. And on Friday, when this tutorial comes out, I guess you will have a better understanding how it works. So I'm using now soft selection to really place things around here. And I actually need to find where the sleeve is, which I'm looking for. Okay, you can see how awesome this works now. You can actually have a live render and position shadows just where you want it. Okay. All right, so sorry about that. Okay, so now this guy is in shadow. And so this is now, I will lock the camera off now, so I won't be changing that anymore. And I will also lock the light as well. Because if you move the light rotation, all the shadows move as well, and you need to start again to position everything. So just a heads up. You can, it's because it's a infinite directional light, it will stay, you can translate it in the scene and it will always stay the same. But you cannot rotate it. I'm just making it a bit wider now. And if you hold B, you can actually manipulate the influence region, the scale of that. Okay, so now let's see if we can actually get the shadow there in the front. I just want to darken this area down a bit, right here. Okay. There we go. And now we need to do it in this direction. You can see it's very tedious to set the whole thing up. So now I've got a nice soft shadow in the corner there. This guy still gets light, which is awesome. So let's see on the other side. So what I like is that the main mushroom, or this one, they catch the light pretty awesome. And then all I gotta do now is just shadow the front a bit more. And then I think we should be good to go. Okay, that is here. I might need another leaf though. Okay. Shift H to unhide. I will just snap it now to this location of the other leaf because I know I placed it higher. Okay. So that's really convenient. Like in the early days, you had to use textures to place gobos or foliage, and now you can actually just use geometry to do that, and it's way more realistic and easier to use. If I have any like simple sculpting operations, I'll just do it in Maya directly. Just if I need to translate geometry a bit or something, I'll just do it directly in Maya. Okay, so the render looks now very dark, which is kind of my intention because I just have one light and I don't have any HDRs so far. So obviously it will be very contrasty, but as soon as I will add an HDR, like in a little forest environment, I think this can look pretty good. it might be we just might need a little bit more light in the foreground. So let's just move a few leaves out of the way. If I can get the controls. I actually don't know which leaves this one is the right one. Okay. So that's cool. Okay. About hybrid rendering, yeah, I never really worked with that because you need to make really use of that. You need a kind of good graphics card, which I don't have. So I actually never really used it before. So when I get this out, I'll definitely use it for sure to test it out. But I'm happy with Arnold so far, and there's no real reason to use it because the speed as it is now is very impressive already. Okay, we need to. I don't want this to be a pool of light there as well, so I need to figure out which leaf it is. So this is that. So I guess this one. Which one is it? So the camera is coming here, so it must be actually this one. Yeah, it was kind of that. Yeah, sorry, so this is a bit tedious work, and I hope you understand. But feel free to ask questions. I'm still checking the comments, so if there's anything coming up, please let me know. Oh, and if you need any like personal help, like if you have a project or something, I've got some on Patreon. I've got some reward tiers where if you need something specific, you can like get a reward tier, and I can help you directly. Like if there's something urgent or something like that. Yeah, just let me know if there's something. I'll get in touch. Okay, so this is this guy. Yeah, that's the thing. Arnold is really trying to push for optimization rather than helping like using denoisers or stuff like that. They really try to fix the problem rather than doing like workarounds like denoising. It's nice to have denoising for sure, but it would be even nicer if you just would have clean renders, right? So that's something they are working on actively to get it look better. Okay, still on. I might just fake it up a bit. I rarely use stand-ins at home because like I never instance stuff so crazily. At work we use instancing every time, and I'm not really sure what they use behind the scenes, and like everything works there. So I don't really know exactly, but I know that stand-ins are supposed to be working the same way. Okay, so enable depth of field. So let's see what we get now. And you guys might be asking why it's so fast. This is my render settings, and I normally actually work without indirects because it's way faster. So I actually have, normally when I do like setups, my settings are like 300 actually. Okay, so this is now my grayscale lighting setup, and I think it might work pretty good, especially if you get these nice high crisp spec points, which give a nice defocus, like a bokeh, like these things here. I really like those things, and I guess if I have the shader set up correctly, it will look pretty sweet. And then obviously, so if this is now my light, I will place some nice rims. So first let me show you the settings I usually work with just to set things up. Would be like this, and then without, and you can see it's almost instant, and this is the way I like to set things up. And if I know, okay, it's getting better, I'll just add more samples. Like I'll add the indirects and I get the bounces. But with this, I can just quickly add lights and work on things. So let's just go out of this and lock the translations, the rotations. I don't really want to move them anymore. Okay, so here's my lights on the top, and I need to find my area light. How do you mean, how do you know which light to use? It depends what you want to do, I guess. Or it actually always depends what you want to do. Well, you shouldn't be using point lights anymore. It's either area light or dome light, or in rare cases, what I'm currently doing is key lights, like directional lights. Point lights were used to fake localization of lights in the early days, so they are still floating around because it was the way to do it, and people still use them. But in today's renders, it's area lights because everything in the real world is an area light, and you get HDRs for environment lighting. That's mostly that. And obviously, you can use sometimes what I do as well is paint out the sun in HDRs and use a directional light instead. Stuff like that. No, directional lights are still used, especially for outdoor scenes. So you can see now with this beauty lights, you can actually can really shape the lights, which is nice. And you can see how instant it is. And it will just work. I'm pretty sure this will be looking pretty cool. And if I introduce now, bring back the depth of field. Okay. It will for sure get there, I guess. So I think what I will do now is I will just assign. I first will clean up this scene, like layer it properly, and then I'll assign the shaders. But I'll just take a short break. Like I will be back like in 5 minutes, and then we continue with that. So in the meantime, you can see the beauty of my fast machine, which is not. So let's just do this. And let's say we want 1 1. How many bounces? 2 is good. Let's add 3 diffuse. And let's do what else? Samples in this directional to 2. Maybe 3 for now. And let's see if I do this. 100%. Progressive off. Update full scene. Okay, I'll be back in 5 minutes. Oh damn, what happened? Wrong camera. Okay, what's going on? Is it still rendering or what? It's stuck. Sometimes it just gets stuck. Do you plan to work on ocean shaders? I don't know. I'm not planning to do that. Okay, so I am back. What you can see now is I think it looks pretty good. Obviously, it's noisy and stuff like that. I like the framing as well. I think if I have nice lighting, this could just work and show off the shaders. I hope so. It all falls apart if I do shading shit. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, so now this will be my cleanup. I will save one more time. And I'll just group everything. And what I should have done before is actually name my assets properly, because no, I don't really know what is what. But I'll figure it out, I guess. Okay, so let's just create my 3 groups. That's something I like to do. I also have a script actually which does that, but lighting, camera, and geo. Okay, geo goes obviously in geo. Camera goes in cam. Light goes in light. Oh, I think I misplaced the camera. Okay, so light will get a color of yellow. Camera stays black. And geo gets cyan. Okay. So again, if you have any questions, please ask. I'll try to help. Okay, so the first thing what I do now, a way I like to work, I just hide everything and then I unhide and then I'll do the shading on that. So I don't know how this big asset is called, but I have something. I've got RGFOW. So let's see if I can find it in my geometry. I think it's this guy, right? RGFOW. Yeah. So here's my textures. So I'm going to hypershade and I clear all the stuff. And for now, I'll just bring in the albedo, which is the diffuse color. So I'm just dropping this in. Create an AI standard shader, standard surface, plug the color into base, and assign this guy. Boom. And now we should see something. We should see a shaded version. There we go, as beautiful as it is. And obviously you can change, well, that's again, highlighting is annoying. And depending on how good the textures are, like how high res they are, you get a pretty good render from that. Okay, roughness. And let's see if we do the same thing in this viewport. Let's just enable texturing. This is now how it looks. It looks pretty crappy because it's very close up in this shot. But we'll see how good it gets or how bad it gets. So that is done. And the cool thing is we can actually rename this now. So let's just call this, the asset name is crap. So let's just call this ground rock, like this. Come on. Oh, that's some 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What did change? I don't know. So this is called, let's call this guy AI ground A. I think I've got 2. And now I was always annoyed by the shading engine not being named, so I wrote a little script, automatically rename shading engines based on shader input. So it also automatically renames them, which is cool. And that's the asset. Okay, so can you use megascans and scenes use for animation? Yeah, of course you can. Why shouldn't you? It's just that you can also use a surface shader and you get really awesome playbacks for animation. Okay, so that's that. Let's just hide this guy. Next one is this one. And we have Acid Rock RGVW. RGVW, I guess this guy. Same thing. What you can do now is you can actually duplicate it or not and just drag the albedo in here. Number 2, duplicate it. This is now B. You see it's very simple work, very simple setup. Now I think it's assigned already. There we go. As you can see, it's very straightforward. Let's hide this one. So now comes the interesting part. Now we get to the mushrooms, but it's the same idea, right? You got one diffuse texture and you just assign them. I just need to find which one they were. RDLVW. RDLV is not this one, right? No. That's the one. So same story. This is 8K actually. That's interesting. Let's see how they hold up in close up. Okay. Wow, this is now I press now. This is full 1-to-1 scale. And I must say it is pretty impressive. Okay, interesting. So I'm actually not sure if my graphics card can support that, but we'll see. So AI standard surface, out color, base color. This guy is called AI mushroom and red because they are the red ones. Update shading engine. And let's assign this to the group. And here they are. Beautiful. And pretty good, honestly. Roughness is out of scale. Let's just change that. Nope, doesn't want to do that. What's going on? I'm not sure why this doesn't work anymore. How important is roughness? What is that for a question? I don't get that. How important is roughness? Interesting. Not sure why I can't. Anyways. I'm sorry, I don't really understand. You don't know what roughness does in general, like what it does on what it's doing on the object. Well, currently it doesn't do anything. Look, I'm not sure if you're trolling me, honestly. I guess someone else can help you out with that. Someone in the chat can explain what roughness is, please. So which one is the fern? Soil, clay, plants. Boston fern, I think that's the one. I used 1 and 2, so let's go 1. Oh, it's 1 texture. That's good. Atlas billboard. I'm not sure what the difference is here. Well, okay. Let me try to explain what it is. It's not just blurring the speck highlight. It's more like micro surface reflections, right? So the higher your roughness value, the more irregularities you have on your object's surface. Hence, you get a broken up speck. If you have a very low roughness value, like around zero-ish, you don't have any surface irregularities, which does not exist in the real world. Even like a mirror or a chrome sphere, they are not perfect. They don't like. There's always something on it. So it just mimics. It's like a fake surface, microsurface structure. And obviously, you don't need roughness if you have a very high detailed geometry, like incredible like displacement map, 16K I guess, and a crazy amount of subdivision, and then you don't need to use roughness at all because the roughness is broken up by the surface. Yeah, even water is it is close to, but even water has like stuff on it, like little algae. They break up the microstructure of the surface. But yeah, I agree. Water will be, I guess, the closest to a zero roughness value. So I want to use this guy for the ferns. Jeremy, what do you mean? Would I'll achieve what in the live stream? Okay. So this did not work as expected. So how do the UVs look? Huh, okay, they are actually the other ones. So it's not the billboard in this case, it is the Atlas. So I was using the wrong one in here. Let's go to Atlas for an albedo. Well, the app doesn't really show you roughness values, unfortunately. But thank you. Okay, so this is looking better. And now I will also implement the opacity now. So this, I figured out how to actually view it in the render. So that's the opacity black and white map. And this one goes to opacity. And then, yes, this is correct. And now you're actually in your viewport 2.0. There's somewhere the option to do things. This one? No. This one? No. This one? Yes, alpha cut. And then you get actually viewport representation, which is pretty sweet, isn't it? Oh no, the stream will be. I'll keep the stream on the channel. Okay, so we've got the ferns. What is this? Oh, is this my? Okay, this is my. This one should go in lighting. This is gobo, so this should go in lighting. There we go. So group 5 is the mushrooms. It's the other type of mushroom. So I've got 2 types of mushrooms. That's a good question. What is the most difficult part in 3D pipeline? I think rigging, animation. Yeah, I think that was the most challenging ones because you can always see if something is off when it's animated. Even if you use motion capture suits, you always see it's different. So I don't know. It's animation is, I think, still a very, very difficult pipeline job to do, and it's hard to nail it with all the weight. Like, I think it's difficult. And obviously for me personally, the most fun part is obviously what I'm doing because I like what I do, and you can see it's Sunday, the sun is out, people go hiking and stuff like that, and I sit in my office and do 3D stuff, right? So I like look dev, I like lighting, I like comp actually. I'm slowly learning how to get better in compositing because it's in the end a good artist can do all of this. Like he can do lighting, he can composite his own shots. And I don't know, I like compositing as well, so I'm going in that direction too. So was it mushroom A, right? Okay. And this is mushroom brown. Let me just save. Lighting interiors is still a bit tricky because it's still very noisy, but it got a lot better. It depends what kind of interior lighting it is. If it's like a sunny day and you get like a sun ray hitting the interior, it shouldn't be too difficult. But if you have like a night setup and you've got lots of light sources, it will get tricky for sure. I never really used HDRI textures. I use HDR lights like to get proper intensities. That's something I do, yes. And I also use photometric lights. I use portal lights, yes, exactly. Okay, so group 7 is a rock. The famous actor OHDBF. OHDBF, let's see if I can find it. OHDBF 8K. Okay, let's bring this albedo map in. And now you can actually see all the work which goes into making a tutorial. So I always do a setup scene. I always do test renders first. And if I'm comfortable with the renders and I think I can pull it off, then, or also if I think it's actually a good tutorial, because I have lots of tutorials which I just think are not good enough and quality-wise. So I don't really publish them. So yeah, it's a lot of effort, but it's fun. Like, and I'm learning as well, right? I'm learning, and you guys learn, and we all learn, which is a good experience, I guess. Are you working in animation right now? Do you have any translation about modeling? It would great was, yeah. Well, I can do modeling for sure, but I would never call myself to be a modeler. So I rather not do any tutorials on that because I just don't feel as comfortable with that. I'm not sure, this rock looks a bit basic. Well, we keep it for now. And I'm working as a look dev and lighting TD actually, so not an animation. And the clover leaves. I'm still not sure if that's the way you say it. Is it clover leaves? Maybe it is actually a clover leaf. Oh, it is actually a clover leaf. Shamrock, uh-huh. Yeah. What is the first job position? Well, ideally you work in as a look dev artist, right? Um, it's like I get lots of questions like how to get in the industry. It's there's no real rule for that, unfortunately. Like the proper way is to start as a junior somewhere, just to get to know the pipeline and see what you want to work in, and after that really decide where you want to go. For me, actually, I think I started in commercials first. I was doing commercial work a long time. I think I was 5 years in commercials after I did my first two feature animation films in Germany, and only after that I worked for a VFX TV show, and after that I also moved to London, and then I was only in the proper Hollywood VFX industry, I would call it. So it's I guess if you have a good reel, like, and everyone can have a good reel, so it's not and it's not really like you can go on FX PhD or something like that and do things on your own at home. Like, you don't need to work in the industry to get a good, awesome looking reel, and that's what it is. So have a good reel which really shows your strengths in the industry, and yeah, that's how it goes, I guess. And what also helps is to know people, go to events, go to functions, talk with people. Also helps quite a bit. Microphone Morgan, last time you googled blood. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, it was a bit gruesome, the blood stuff. Oh man. Okay, is this the right ones? Yeah, I think they look correct. So this is the same trick now with the opacity. So let's bring that in. Not translucency, opacity, and hook it up. Bring a large thing like this. Do you make any sort of to-do list? Keep trying. How do you, in terms of organization, do you mean like your structure and the outliner, or your shader setup, or what things I still need to do? What do you mean exactly? Look how sweet they look. Okay, so saving, and then I'm unhiding everything, and we see how they all blend together. I started actually off with MtoA back in the days, and then I worked with, oh man, what was that? Brazil, I think Brazil render or something. A while, and after that I think I quickly moved to V-Ray. For a long time, for all my commercial work I mostly used V-Ray, and occasionally RenderMan, but I always found RenderMan a bit like too much work to learn. It's just there were so many parameters and you had to back out shadow maps, and it was just not as intuitive. Um, and then luckily Arnold was made more public and more people knew Arnold, and since then I'm still using RenderMan every day as well, but I'm also using like on personal projects I'm using Arnold most of the time. Okay, I'm not sure if this fern here is placed correct, but anyways, I think it will look pretty good. No, today I must say RenderMan is pretty good, man. Like with all the ray tracing now, and it gets more physical, and their team is very good in developing new things. And I really must say, if I would choose now, I would have a hard time to say which one is my favorite, I guess. What I like about Honor is that like their support, and they're really trying, and they're really doing things, and you can see a lot of improvement in sample noises and stuff like that. So they are actively still working a lot on it, which I like about it. Mm. Yeah, Glenn, it's the thing is, my personal projects are most of the time very simple, so there's not much for me to really think about it. Hence, I don't have really to-do lists. Like when it comes to organizing my scene, I tend to use this structure, lights, camera, geometry, and I never have groups like I have now. I really name everything as it needs to be, just to stay organized. Um, what else do I do? I guess it comes with experience. How you do it. Because like there's just I've been doing it so often, and I just kind of know what still needs to be done. And just to keep myself organized, what I do, I mostly hide all the geometry, and then I work on one part, and then I unhide it, work on it, and hide it. So I just know what I've worked on and stuff like that, I guess. And no, I have not used Mantra or 3D Light. Okay, so let's see now if I hit enable depth of field, how it looks in the viewport. I think you have the option actually to have it in here. Yeah, there it is. So let's select the locator. It's 1517. 15017. Yeah, it's not as good. You can see that there is like doubling up of things. F-stop, crazy. Well, you can kind of see the effect, I guess. The viewport depth of field. First of all, what's your language, Istvan? I honestly don't think they fucked it up as you would say it. I think it's way more intuitive. You still have all the same controls as you would have in AL shader. Just because you see in the shader that they just have one slot now, it doesn't mean it's like messed up. It still does work. You can still plug in your 3 layers if you need to. So there's nothing to get upset about. It's the same thing. So yeah. Um, yeah. So I'm just started to render, and we see like it will now process all the textures, and it might take a while, or it might not. We'll see. 50%. Oh, it's actually cooking already. Depth of field is on. Everything is on and it's working. Kind of. You see what I mean? You get the nice rim lighting now. Obviously, this will be now a shading tutorial and shading and possibly lighting as well. But you can already see some some minor resemblance to what I'm going for. I definitely need more white, like overexposed background lighting, so I'll just fake it. I think I'll just put a really strong light there, like an area light or something. And I must say, I think the right side is a bit too out of focus. And it, so yeah, we'll see. And as you can see, I did not do anything with color conversion right now, so I still need to work or check if everything is set up correctly. I never had to look dev VDB so far, but definitely lighting. Yes, I'm currently working on a pretty awesome shot actually at work, and we have like a full screen volume cloud, and I need to light that, which is pretty cool. So I do lighting VDBs, but I didn't really work with the black body shaders and stuff like that. So it's not my field of expertise, as I would put it. But I was always impressed by pyros and stuff like that. So it's still cool. And you can see it's still noisy. Why is it so noisy? It's because I don't have AA samples. And if you want to render depth of field, you need to go pretty high to get this cleaned up. So I'm now on 12 and you can see there's still some crap. Do you ever use render farms? Yeah, occasionally I work with render farms, yeah. The cool thing is being a bit more public like I am, I get a lot of, not a lot, but I get recently emails if I want to use the render farm. So that's a benefit, I guess, of having a public channel. But if it's something like this, like small renders, single frame renders, I never do that. I never use a farm for that. And you might think that these settings are a bit crazy, 14, but it's actually not. Like, it depends. You need to like really keep track on all your samples in your scene. So if you have, for instance, as samples on the light which are on 3 or 4, render times will go insane. So if you have AA samples higher than, I would say higher than 8, maybe higher than 10, every sample should be on 1. So I would need to go my light here and make sure, or let's put it to 2, right? And the area light to 2. But you should not go higher than that. I think in most cases 2 is even too high if you have higher settings. Did you paint the models? I did not do any texture work on here. I'm not sure, or are they just pictures? And if you don't use motion, if you don't use depth of field and you just have motion blur, you can get around, I guess, with 10, 12. But yeah, it always depends on your noise levels. Okay. I think most of the work I wanted to show is done because this is just a setup, right? It will take I might do maybe a 2-part tutorial. Depends how long the shading goes. But I want to, because the mushrooms are in focus, I will spend a lot of time fine-tuning their look. Let's just do, while I'm talking, it can actually render. Okay, so as you can see, this is my reference, and it's always very important to work with a reference. It really increases your ability to catch issues or make your shader look awesome if you have references, because you want to recreate the real world, and it's important to look at them. And you can see the subsurface scattering is very strong on this, so this will be a really big challenge. You can see now this guy's in shade, and then when it hits the sun, how translucent it becomes. This guy is in full sun, and you can see that underneath it, it's almost glowing, like self-glowing. And here you can see the red insides of the mushroom, or the red brownish color. And I might even, if I have time, you can see that there's a kind of fur on it, or some little hairs and things like that on here as well. So I might actually use XGen to create some minor furs on the sides, on the stem, just to get these nice glints of light hitting them. It will just add so much more realism, and you can see here these bumps and stuff. And obviously I need to create those pools of light, and even the fern here is pretty awesome. Well, the SSS color is mostly it's mostly the diffuse color of itself, maybe a bit brighter, but it's not more than that. Obviously, you wouldn't put like blood color because it does not have any liquids or like blood color in it. You would just use, like, if the top of the mushroom is red, obviously the color of red will transmit through the material, so it might be a bit reddish around the top. But if the stem is kind of white, it will just get brighter, right? It will just have a bigger effect on the area. Yeah, and you can see if I go for, like, not final render, but you can see now that the render also on my machine takes a while if I do like a proper render. If I don't do IPR session, it takes a while, and especially on my machine, which is really not that powerful, it just takes a while. How does SSS scale work? Well, it works like every other scale. Let's see if I can show you in the shader. No, there's no HDR. It's just one direction light. Subsurface weight. So the scale itself is just a multiplier, right? So if you have a value of 1 and a scale of 1, your result is 1. But if you have a scale of 10, the effect is increased times 10, right? So this scale is just a multiplier on how strong the SSS effect is. And the radius, is there actually a description on it? Not really. So the radius is when one light ray hits the surface, the radius defines how deep the light scatters in the surface. So a radius of 1, which it is currently, means it will scatter 1 unit, right? And if the color is 1, like it is now, it's RGB is all on 1, it means that every light is scattered uniformly by 1 unit. So if I want to increase the effect by 2, I would either increase the scale by 2, which means the radius is scaled, multiplied. What I can also do, which I mostly do, I don't touch the scale. It's matter of preference, I guess, is changing the radius value. So if I want to have the red color to scatter 2 units, I would put in 2 here, which would mean that the red channel, the red light, will travel 2 units, and green will travel 1 unit. And then what you can also do, you can use a normalized value. So you can say, okay, red goes 0.8, green goes 0.05, and this goes 0.15. We should have a value of 1, right? Being red is the strongest. Not sure if my math is correct. 50 is 2. Yeah, it should be 1. And this would be now your factor, I guess, or your how would you say it? Your relationship between red, green, and blue. This is the relationship, and then you can just control the depth, how deep it traces with the scale. So now it will just be multiplied. The depth will be multiplied, and the color is just the scatter color. So if you have red, red will be scattered, and weight is the overall strength of it. So I'll just give a short demo, I guess. Do you prefer doing depth and render? For my single frame renders, I tend to use depth of field in the render just because I'm lazy and I don't want to go through Nuke. But if I have, obviously in production, we always render Z passes to do that in comp. So progressive on, updating. Okay, so this is now with scattering enabled. This is now a fully 1 scatter. Let's put everything to 1. 1, 1, 1. Everything is on 1. Okay, so this is now a scattered mushroom. I actually didn't want to do shading, but I'll just do it quickly. Okay, and you can see what's happening here. Let's just find the red mushroom. Okay, and what I do now, this is what I mostly set up. So I create a AI color correct and plug in the color. And this out color goes to subsurface color, which would be my color I am scattering through. So I use isolate selected, and what I tend to do there is just desaturate it a bit and make it a bit brighter using exposure to brighten everything a bit up. So this is now my raw, diffuse, and this is my subsurface. And then if I have a radius on 0, we should almost get no translucency. You can see how long it already takes. So this is without scattering. Yes. And then you can increase the radius and you should see how it scatters through the surface. And obviously you can, and the scale would be the effect, right? And now if you want to, you can actually control the effect of the scattering through the scale. The weight, I guess, is what you would call it. But I tend to use it on 1 and just use radius instead. And if I want to say red travels further, then I can just increase that and reduce the other ones. And the resulting will be a stronger red contribution in this SSS, as you can see how red it gets now. You see, so this would be kind of what it's doing. Obviously, it needs fine tuning. I'm just showing you quickly what it's doing. And if you, for instance, if you want to have like your 3 layers of skin, I hear lots of people complaining. What you can do is plug in a color like a map in here in a radius, and if you want to have the weight of the blood layer the strongest, then in the red channel you plug in a very red map, and if you want to have a not so much blue, you can plug in your layers in here and you will have the same effect, right? So that's what I'm always keep saying, it's still the same shader. So anyways, this is now my setup, lighting look, my basic scene setup. I might be positioning now a few more things around. Maybe I'll just create another one which is in here more on the right side, which is more in focus. So I just move it back so it catches more a focus point. But other than that, I think I'm pretty happy with the basic setup, and I guess I'll start the tutorial now soon. And yeah, I guess I'll release it on Friday, depending how far I come along today. And how busy I am at work, but the plan is to release it on Friday, so you have enough time on the weekend to check it out. So for all the ones who who stayed around, it's like 86 people watching, which is a lot for my stuff, I think. I'm really happy for you guys to tune in, and I guess because there's so much good feedback on it, I will do more of my scene setups now, like live sessions, which means the streams might get very long, but you can skip through them, right? So because I will be uploading them afterwards. Any other useful Arnold 5 notes? Well, most of them are very useful, otherwise they wouldn't be there. Where's Arnold stuff here? They're all pretty good, man. Ideally, I would just encourage you to look through the docs and see which ones are helpful for you, and quite of them are pretty good, man. Oh yeah, and again, I'll self-promote a bit more when it's opening up. Where is it? Is it hidden? There it is. Sorry. So I am on Patreon, and if you want to support me there, I would really, really appreciate it, because it just gives me more motivation to keep focused on the work I'm doing. And I've got several reward tiers, especially if you need some help, like personal help, if you need to spend some time, if you have a project, you can really it's really cheap, honestly, and you can get direct feedback from myself, and we can do hangouts and everything. So if you also, which is awesome, I think for all the tutorials I will be releasing the source material. So all the content, obviously, which I have paid for, I cannot open source, but you will get my Maya scene file, and you get my shaders and stuff like that. But I can't give you the objects itself, unfortunately. But most of the tutorials are pretty good, and you can get the shaders and you can work from there. And if you really want it, there's like this private lesson where if you want to learn like how to really set up shaders, I will spend time with you. Like this is not a timed lesson. It's more until you fully understand what you're doing. I will sit with you and we do live sessions until you get the hang of that. So this is my highest reward tier, or my highest patron tier. Yeah, and then obviously I've got my light shader website, which is linked to the light shader Slack group. So this light shader thing is more a community, or it's not. It's actually just a website showcasing my work, my development work. My tutorials are on here. Like all the new stuff is on here, and then you've got documentation on my tools I have open sourced, so you get access to those. And the Surface database is actually the app someone was talking about, where you get the shader reflectance values and stuff like that. And you get downloads where you can actually have direct access to the repo, and you have then the slide shader tab in the top, and you get all those tools: attribute control, light control. Sorry about that. And the last thing is the Slack channel, Slack group. Is it somewhere? Let's see. Let's bring it up. It's blocked somewhere. Yeah. Yeah. So in here we have, how many do we already have? 260 members already. So this is a group where we can share knowledge, we can share ideas, renders. If you have OSL questions, people are already helping, which I really like. And this is not supposed to be a platform where you can directly like ask me questions. That's not the point of it. It's more you can ask the community and people will help you out, or that is the idea. So I would be happy if you guys join. Let me just paste that link. So many windows open. There we go. So on the home page at the bottom, there's the Slack button, and if you click that, you get the invite. You can join it. I'll just post it here as well. 3-4 minutes is impressive. So yeah, it's pretty good, man. I'm not sure how it looks, but it's if you have 3-4 minute render, why not? Progressive is slower. How do you mean progressive is slower? Progressive is slower. Oh yeah, progressive is slower. Like it's like interactive is slower. I think that's what you meant. The interactive render is slower than the progressive one because it refines every time. After each step, it does not continue. It like starts again with a different step. Or I'm actually not sure if they changed it, but it was like that. So if you render progressive refinement off, you get the final step immediately and it's faster. It's like, I'm not sure how much faster, but it's a tiny bit faster, I guess. It's pretty possible that Transformers took so long. I don't have accurate render times, but for the past shows I was working on, I had a shot which rendered the whole weekend. It was like I think 60 hours at some point. Obviously, I cannot enclose what it was, but we have big render farms and they take care of that. But yeah, if you have lots of, especially Transformers, if you have robots and they're all shiny and you've got interactions and they, I don't know, you've got water and ice and it's crazy, man. You get all this stuff. It's ridiculous. Yeah, and it's not that it's like 8 core machines. They have like, I think we have, how much do we have? I think we had to have at least like 60 thread machines or 80 thread machines. And yeah, well, it's big companies. They have the budget for that, and so they have big render times. They have huge assets as well. Like there's an asset which has like almost 500 UDIM tiles, and imagine that, right? Just the network load for just transferring all the textures to the render slaves is incredible. Yeah. Yeah. So I guess at one point, like in the near future, we will all be rendering on the cloud. So like Amazon Cloud Services or Google Cloud Services or even Autodesk has its cloud services. You will just render over their cloud. You pay a subscription fee for, I don't know, $30 a month or something, and you get full access to their render farm. Arnold for GPU 6. I'm not sure what that is. But I know that they are actively working on Arnold GPU, and I don't know much more than you guys, so um, I don't know. Like the question is what I think is a good render time is very like I can't tell you anything about that question because do you render like half HD, full HD, 4K, 8K? It doesn't, like, it's all, there's like a big factor playing around that. So if you have outdoor scenes, if you have interior scenes, if you have underwater or ice, or it's like, it's really crazy. So you can, and yeah, well, if you render a still frame, you can, I guess, render maybe 40 hours a frame if you have like 4K poster image or something. But if you have an animation of 2000 frames, obviously a render time of 20 minutes would be preferred. Arnold is very fast, I must say. Like, all the ray tracer, they really struggle with subsurface scattering and glass. So I'm currently working on something, and we have lots of glass, lots of ice, and characters running, and it just, we can't get rid of the noise. So long renders. Yeah, that's kind of that. So it depends. If you have just simple scenes with, I don't know, no subsurface and stuff like that, it should be good with 20 minutes, I guess. Anyways, this will be the live session, and I will continue now to start up with the tutorial to do the shading. Obviously, feel free to ask questions, ideally on Slack or on Patreon. Yeah, thank you guys for tuning in, and I think this was the record of viewers we had on the peak. I think we had 93 on the peak, which is impressive. So thanks for tuning in, and I guess I'll release it on Friday, so keep an eye out for that. And if you haven't done so, you can enable this notification thing on YouTube, and then you get instantly a notification when I go live on live streams, and you get a notification when I upload new videos. Yeah, cool. Thanks again, and yeah, we'll talk soon again. Bye.